Hello again and welcome back to Illegally Cited. This is Jesse here and I am back for a bonus video for you guys. Hopefully going to unlock this later tonight, maybe in the morning, but hopefully it'll be quickly uploaded. But I should have known after I did the recent channel update video, lots of stuff happened. Some cool things, some not so cool things, and I want to talk about a couple of them. So hopefully this will be a shorter video. Not going to dive into all of the usual intro channel stuff, other than to say thank you to everybody for your support. Definitely check the playlists out if you're new to the channel, and thank you to everybody for your support. I knew that the Gamescom opening night was going to be today. It's kind of in the middle of the afternoon our time just because of, time zones and such. But even before it happened, I wasn't too concerned about recording a channel update video before then because, even Jeff Keighley said, he's like, well, temper your expectations. This is more... there's not going to be a ton of new surprises. It's going to be maybe, a lot more learning about games that we already know about, either existing games or, new seasons or new content for existing games. So it's going to be more of stuff that we, kind of known quantities for the most part. So get to see more gameplay or more in-depth footage. And I haven't even gotten to really look at many of the trailers and stuff from Gamescom, so we're not even going to talk a lot about that. I know there was some new Sonic the Hedgehog content. There was some initial gameplay reveal for Streets of Rogue 2, which I really need to check out. I've been talking to Ryan or Max Angor, who is now back on Twitter again, by the way. So cool. But the game looked really neat, and it's one that I haven't gotten around to, so there's that. There was some new Alan Wake footage, which looked really, really cool. Very curious to see what that's going to be like. A new Mortal Kombat trailer with some more character information. I did watch that, and we got to see Raiden and a couple other characters, and it's so weird to see, usually Raiden's the god, the thunder god, and he's helping out Liu Kang and all the Earthrealm people. And now it's kind of the opposite, where you have, I call him Liu Raiden, from what happened after MK11. But you have Liu Kang, and now Raiden's kind of the seems to be one of the major Earthrealm characters that has taken Liu Kang's place. But there was that. There was there was some other stuff. I can't even remember, but like I said, I haven't even watched all the footage because today I took the day off work because I got to do a cool accessibility consulting gig or consulting project. Now, unfortunately, that's all I'm really going to be allowed to say at this point, other than to say, based on the thing that I did, I'm very hopeful and very potentially excited about the potential future of a couple products, or a couple games that might be coming out in the next couple years. So there's definitely some more cool accessibility stuff to look forward to. But unfortunately, that is really all I'm able to say. But we had a little bit of a break. So when I took the break, they had the Gamescom show going on, and I did get to see the Alan Wake footage, and I did get to see Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat footage. One other thing while we're on the topic of Gamescom, and I didn't even know about this until I saw Twitter or X later, and the Game Awards, how we had that kind of moron that came up on stage and was talking about some Bill Clinton nonsense, or what, I can't even remember what weird thing it was. But apparently we had another moron storm the stage right at the beginning of the show and try to ask about, or try to get try to say something about Grand Theft Auto 6. I did see a short little clip. Again, I haven't seen the full thing, but um, Jeff Keighley he seemed to handle it pretty well. But I mean, really, people wonder why gamers have such bad reputations. You've got the kids that people still think that gamers sit in their parents' basement, don't get jobs, um, have horrible social skills, um, just all the negative stereotypes that you generally hear. Some of that's going away, but really, guys, this type of thing is not helping our case at all. I mean, you guys are supposed to be adults. Frickin' act like it. And furthermore, this is twice now in 6 months where somebody's gotten on stage. I know there's a lot of work that goes into, doing something like the Game Awards and live shows and things like that, but I definitely think they need to do some more either screening or security. They need to tighten that up a little bit more because, yeah, up to this point it's been kind of stupid, it's been kind of harmless. Some people find it funny. I just find it to be rather annoying. But things could go a lot worse, especially in today's day and age where you never know what idiot has a gun or a weapon or intends to do harm. I think back to how we lost Dimebag Darrell from Pantera. I've seen the behind the music clip. I've seen the footage of it, and somebody storms the stage and killed Dimebag Darrell right on stage. And one of these days at an event like that, you never know what could happen. So yeah, I really hope they get that under control, and I really hope that people quit acting like complete morons. So wanted to kind of address that because it's like, really, again. The other thing that I kind of briefly wanted to talk about, because I'm sure everyone's going to kind of have their own opinion, and it's really hard to clearly make my point or say my thoughts on a couple of short tweets. So we're going to try it here. So after I got done with my gig today, I go onto Twitter, I go onto X again. Or no, that was right when I woke up this morning, actually. No, that was right before, that was when I woke up. I see this post that IGN had done this article about the new Mortal Kombat One fatalities. So again, that is something, actually, let's step back. Before I talk about that article, in the last channel update video, I do remember I did talk about, I'm one of the games I'm really looking forward to this fall. Game coming out next month, Mortal Kombat One. Now, Mortal Kombat has always been kind of a favorite for fighting game players. I mean, heck, we have the Sento Showdown, the All Blind and Visually Impaired Tournament. That's been going on for quite a few years. I just watched the top 8 here a week or two ago Saturday. So yeah, that's cool. That's always a thing. And Mortal Kombat 11 had some accessibility. It had some extra sounds. It had a little bit of the narration from the announcer, but it didn't have, full, like a text-to-speech screen reader support. About a week or two ago, we did learn that a couple of consultants. We have Rattlehead and Super Blind Man. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll probably see me retweeting a lot of their stuff. But they were involved in accessibility consulting for MK1, and there was there was a beta for people who pre-ordered the deluxe edition on consoles. Now, I have the deluxe edition pre-ordered, but I had it on PC. And apparently they just didn't want to do the PC beta, so I kind of I didn't get to participate in that. But I did join a couple of streams this past weekend, and I got to see at least some of what is there for accessibility. And there's a lot. There is a screen reader. You can read through all of the menus. You can read the move list, which is huzzah, which I'm very, very excited about. That'll be very helpful. I don't know about the training and tutorials and stuff like that because I don't think those modes were in the beta. But potentially they might be able to be spoken as well. But I can't confirm that one way or another. And then they have, additional audio cues, even more than they had, I think, in MK11. So there's audio cues. I can't even explain it all. You'll have to go watch one of the other guys' videos. But like, there's sounds for like different different statuses for your meter and how far away you are from your opponent, and all kinds of different things, like different types of attacks, and it's just there's a lot there. And then on top of everything else, the story mode, which has been great ever since Mortal Kombat 9 through 11. Very curious to see where the story goes. That's one of my favorite parts of the modern Mortal Kombat games, and MK1, very curious to see what that story is going to be. But one accessibility feature they're going to have is actual audio description for the the movie cutscenes in the story mode. Excellent, awesome. So that's a fair few games that are starting to have audio description now. That's awesome. In addition to that, they are adding descriptive audio for your kind of non-interactive parts of a fight, like your brutalities or your fatalities. And that I did get to hear during the beta, and it's really, really cool because even as a low vision user, things are happening so fast. There's particle effects, there's things are zooming around, and it's sometimes it's even hard for me to tell exactly what is happening. So yeah, being able to have that on, and being able to hear exactly what kind of craziness is happening with these fatalities and brutalities and stuff like that, that's pretty cool. Like because think about it, if you can't see it all you're hearing is a bunch of crunching noises. You're like, oh man, that's brutal, but you have no idea what the heck is going on. It's like, oh, they could be ripping someone's arm off, they could be eviscerating them, who knows, but you're just hearing all kinds of crunchy, meaty, bloody sounds. So that is some really cool, except like Mortal Kombat 1 is going to be the most accessible Mortal Kombat game to date. And so I am even way more stoked. I've got my PC version pre-ordered. I will probably double dip once it goes on sale. And I will probably double dip on the PlayStation 5 version because I know that's where a lot of other people are going to play. And if I do end up playing with other blind players or visually impaired players, that's probably where it's mostly going to happen. But I did want the PC version initially, so we'll stick with that. But yeah, so you never know. I might get the PS5 one eventually anyway. But yeah, so I'm very excited. Again, September is just going to be brutal for the amount of games that I'm looking forward to playing. I took the week of September 4th, I believe, off because Starfield is going to be out that week. And I'm getting the early version on the 1st, so you probably won't see much of me other than diving into Starfield that week. So that's a great way to start the month. But MK1, looking forward to it. So here's where the controversy from this morning came into play. I woke up to this tweet where IGN had written an article talking about the audio description of MK1, the fatalities, the brutalities. Okay. But the post that I saw was like, well, that, was basically saying, well, that's one way to interpret these accessibility features. I've never heard accessibility described quite like that before. So I read the article, and it kind of pissed a lot of people off. And I can kind of see where they're coming from. Because the article was kind of, in a way, almost poking fun at it, like it was something to be laughed at, or it was something kind of humorous, where It's like, oh, you can turn this accessibility feature on, and then you can have people describe these fatalities and brutalities, but they should go further and they should have the characters do funny voices and describe what they're doing to the other opponent and yada yada. And then, there was kind of this light comment to say like, oh yeah, and it's cool that these features are there for blind players, but whatever. It's kind of more geared toward focusing on the humor aspect of it. Now, like I said, a lot of people are not happy with the tone of the article, and I think it was really misrepresented too. This could have been a huge opportunity to focus not just on the audio description, but even if they focused on blind accessibility, low vision accessibility, they could have taken that article and they could have said, oh, dude, Mortal Kombat 1 has got like all these new accessibility features, from audio cues during a fight to being able to read the menus, the settings, the move lists, and on top of that, they have accessibility, or they have audio description for the movies, as well as, or the story cutscenes, as well as the fatalities and brutalities. But they didn't go that route. Again, it was kind of just this short kind of like, oh, look at how humorous this is. This is pretty funny. And then there's a lot of other people that have kind of been piling on and making fun of it. Like, ooh, I can't even remember what they wrote. But so when I replied to that, here's the thing. On one level, I don't agree with the article. I'll say that right up front. I don't agree with the way they wrote that article. They could have done a lot better job, especially if we're trying to push the accessibility talk forward. Get more developers and even get more gamers to be more accepting of, hey, accessibility features, these are just going to be becoming more common, so more people can play these games. Get over it. Live with it. So yeah, I don't agree with the way that the article was written, really at all. The only kind of humorous part that I can see, and it's not the way the article wrote it. The humor comes in to me where it's the fatality itself. It's the fatalities and the brutalities themselves that are humorous, because yes, the game Mortal Kombat has always been bloody and violent. I mean, you go back and look at Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, and those are tame compared to what we've got now. But even back then they were shocking, But the thing is, they are so over the top. It's not done in any form of a realistic way. Like, it's not like some war movie where they're trying to show like this is how brutal war is, and it's a nightmare for the soldiers on the field and the battlefield and whatever. I mean, it's done so ridiculous. You're ripping people in half and freezing them and shattering them, or just take your pick, any number of just super over the top things. And part of, like, if you're watching the fatalities visually, you're kind of laughing at how absurd they are. It's like, okay, we've got a new Mortal Kombat game. How much more over the top can they push it and still get an M rating? So that's where the humor is. But as far as the audio description goes, there is kind of sort of an awkward humor to, like, if I was going to be describing, like, even if I was just describing what one of these new fatalities was to a friend, like, oh, you're never going to believe this. This guy walks up and he rips his heart out of his chest and then rips out his insides and strings them up with him. I mean, I'm just making stuff up, but I mean, that's literally like some of the stuff that people, like the fighters would do. And it's so ridiculous, like you can't say it with a straight face. You kind of just have to laugh at how absurd it is as you're telling your friend about how over the top the new Mortal Kombat fatalities are. And so there is kind of a little bit of humor just in the fact of, like, I'm describing this fatality with just a straight kind of a deadpan voice of, like, yes, and the person, Sub-Zero freezes the opponent, rips out his heart or rips out off his head with the spine dangling, however it is. Um, because it would be hard for me to do that without, it'd be hard for me to do that with a straight face, at least without watching the fatality a couple times to kind of get used to, again, how absurd it is. So that's where the humor is. Now, is the audio description itself intended to be funny? No, it's not. I mean, you can take any action movie, you can take any romance movie, you can take whatever TV show or movie. There's hundreds or thousands of movies that have all kinds of mature content, be it, like I said, romantic or sexual or violent. And even some of that is sort of absurd, how over the top some of the action scenes could be. But no, I mean, like I said, if you're totally blind or even if you're low vision, you can't necessarily see everything of what's going on. All you hear is the gore noises. And so if they're going to describe the story cutscenes, yeah, why not describe the fatalities and the brutalities, because that's another just kind of movie related or non-interactive part that doesn't change, and it would be easy to describe because it happens the same way every time. So yeah, the audio description is not intended to be funny. It's intended to be, I mean, yes, the nature of the game is violent and over the top and kind of humorous in a dark and twisted dark humor way, but that's where the humor is and that's where it ends. So like I said, that's where I can kind of see, like, yes, there is some kind of dark humor to the fatalities themselves, but the audio description itself should not be intended to be humorous, or should not be intended to be that way. It's just an aspect of a really violent game that, if they're going to be inclusive and describe what's happening in this particular game, well, those are the kind of things that happen in Mortal Kombat. At the end of a match, a fighter might trigger a fatality and some crazy stuff happens. And so I think it's really cool that they're doing that. But yeah, I mean, so that's where my thoughts are. Like, I'm really glad they're adding all the screen reader stuff, the audio cues, the audio description, including the story and the fatalities, because that's a core part of the game. Why not go all out and describe everything? So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about, just sort of a bonus for you guys. I will probably still do a video tomorrow. I have an idea which one I'm going to unlock, but with all this hubbub happening, I know a lot of people hadn't even heard about it until later today, so I figured, you know what? I said it's hard to clearly convey my opinion or have someone not take it the wrong way in a couple of short tweets that are limited by how many characters you can type. So, people can just hear my voice, and this is my thoughts. This is the explanation of what is happening. And if you didn't know already, now you know that Mortal Kombat 1 is going to have some sweet accessibility features. So again, huge thank you to the NetherRealm team. And you know what? A huge shout out, a huge thank you to Rattlehead and Super Blind Man, because, yeah, making Mortal Kombat even more accessible. So that's where we're at. That's, I think, where we are going to leave it. Like I said, nothing much has really changed since my recent channel update video. There are games galore that are already out. There are games galore that are going to be coming out. I think hopefully tomorrow there's going to be some other presentation, some other trailers and stuff happening. And theoretically, if I remember correctly, we should hopefully be getting a RoboCop Rogue City release date. I'm way more excited for that game than I probably should be. But I want a really good RoboCop game. It's due time, and I want it to be good. So There's definitely going to be a lot of stuff on the channel. We've got the Turtle TMNT stuff still coming out later this month. I did get a collector's edition of last year's Shredder's Revenge. So, you know, maybe around the release date for the DLC, I might have another bonus video for you guys. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, lots of game coverage. We got some accessible games coming up. We've got Forza. We've got MK. I have no idea what Starfield is going to bring because they won't release any accessibility information. Dag nabbit. But yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give the video a like if you did. Follow me on Twitter at BGFH79 or X, or whatever you want to call it, at BGFH79. Twitch.tv/illegally-cited, illegally-cited.com, and right here on YouTube. So until next time, I will chat with everybody again later.